God didn't destroy the world without warning. That part was never the mystery. The real question is this: why did an entire generation hear the warnings and still choose not to believe them? Because if you think they were ignorant, evil, or stupid, you've already missed the most uncomfortable part of the story. We were taught to see Noah as the hero and everyone else as the villains. A clean split, one righteous man, one corrupt world. But that version is too simple, too neat, too safe. The truth is harder to sit with. Noah's generation wasn't wiped out because they never heard God. They were wiped out after hearing him repeatedly and deciding again and again that the warning didn't apply to them. That's where the story actually becomes disturbing. If you're drawn to biblical stories told without sermons, stories that feel human, tense, and unsettling, turn on the notification button, like share and comment. Imagine the world before the flood. Not dark skies, not thunder, not panic. Life was normal, productive, busy. People worked, married, planned futures, built houses. The children laughed, markets opened, fields were planted, and in the middle of all that normalcy, there was Noah. Not a preacher with a pulpit, not a king, not a prophet surrounded by fire, just a man building something that made no sense. An ark. No rainstorms had ever swallowed the earth. No oceans had risen from the ground. The skies didn't threaten collapse. So when Noah said destruction was coming, it sounded absurd. Not evil, not terrifying, just unrealistic. That's the detail most versions skip. God didn't shout his warning through miracles. He let it stand quietly year after year through one man's obedience, which meant the warning was easy to ignore. And they did. At first it was probably curiosity. People stopping to watch the construction, asking questions they didn't really care about. What is that thing? Why are you building it here? When exactly is this flood supposed to happen? Noah answered, again and again and again. The warning wasn't hidden. It wasn't cryptic. It was simply inconvenient. And inconvenience is easy to dismiss. Over time, curiosity turned into mockery. Mockery turned into irritation. Irritation turned into quiet contempt. Because the longer nothing happened, the more foolish Noah looked, and the more justified everyone else felt. They didn't deny God outright. That's the mistake we make when retelling this story. They just delayed him. Later. Not now. Maybe eventually. Things aren't that bad. That's how warnings die. Not through rebellion, but through procrastination. Noah's generation wasn't violent every day. They weren't screaming blasphemies into the sky. They were just comfortable. And comfort dulls urgency. The Bible says the earth was corrupt, but corruption doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it grows quietly inside systems that still function. Families still formed, cities still expanded, progress still happened, which made the idea of total collapse seem ridiculous. Why prepare for disaster when everything appears stable? That's the trap. Because God's warnings don't always arrive with visible proof. Sometimes they arrive as repetition, the same message, the same call, the same uneasy feeling, ignored long enough to feel harmless. And every day Noah kept building, the choice became heavier. To listen now would mean admitting they were wrong for years. It would mean abandoning plans, facing ridicule, letting go of certainty. So they doubled down instead. They laughed louder, worked harder, distracted themselves more aggressively, until the warnings faded into background noise, and then the rain started. Not dramatic at first, not cinematic, just enough to be inconvenient. But by then, belief no longer mattered, because belief delayed too long becomes regret. The most haunting part of the story isn't the flood, it's the silence before it. Years of warnings, years of opportunity, years of choosing familiarity over truth. And when the door of the ark closed, it wasn't punishment that ended the story, it was finality. This story isn't about water, it's about human delay, about how easy it is to ignore a warning when nothing forces you to act immediately. Most destruction doesn't come from sudden rebellion. It comes from quiet dismissal, from assuming tomorrow will look like today. If you're drawn to biblical stories told without sermons, stories that feel human, tense, and unsettling, subscribe. These aren't polished legends. They're raw, uncomfortable narratives that still echo today. This journey continues.